All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into the business of joy itself, the Stella's ice cream franchise. It was founded back in 2018 out in Idaho by Chad Hartley, with Eric Toscan as the CFO, and their whole mission is to serve joy with every scoop. We're going to break down their official franchise disclosure document, the FDD, to get the real story behind that dream, everything from the costs to the potential profits. So let's dive in. I mean, who hasn't had that dream, right? You can just imagine it. The smell of fresh waffle cones, families coming in, and serving up your own unique, amazing ice cream flavors. But what does it actually take to turn that sweet vision into a business that makes money? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out by taking a hard look at the complete Stella's franchise model. At its heart, Stella's is all about a premium product and a great experience. And we're talking about way more than just a scoop in a cup. Their menu has sundaes, cakes, pies, even ice cream tacos, and Pupcicles for dogs. The process is really what sets them apart. They use this proprietary dairy blend and then blast freeze the ice cream at -40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what creates that incredibly smooth texture they're known for. One of the big draws of the Stella's model is the focus on creative freedom. As a franchisee, you're not just stuck with a corporate menu. You actually have control to develop your own ice cream flavors and baked goods. Plus, the business goes way beyond the four walls of your shop. They really encourage multiple revenue streams like event carts and food trucks. And get this, there's no extra franchise fee for those. Plus, you can do wholesale and sell take-home party boxes.
Okay, the dream is definitely appealing. But now let's talk about the reality of the investment. We're going to shift gears and look at the cold, hard numbers right from their legal disclosure document to see what it really costs to open a Stella's.
So the high-end initial investment is estimated right there at $774,075. Now, to be clear, that figure is for a multi-unit deal, which means you're committing to opening at least 2 locations. It's a pretty significant number, so let's break down what's actually inside it for just a single shop. For just one location, you're looking at an investment somewhere between, let's say, $442,000 and $732,000. The biggest variable here and the real budget buster can be leasehold improvements. That's the cost to build out your 800 to 1,500 square foot space to their exact specs, and it can run you up to $300,000 alone. Other big-ticket items are the non-refundable $49,500 initial franchise fee and up to $150,000 for all your equipment. On the bright side, they do offer a 5% discount on that initial fee for veterans.
And of course, the costs don't stop once you open the doors. There are a bunch of ongoing fees that are going to impact your bottom line. Every month, you'll pay a royalty that's 6% of your gross revenue, or $500, whichever is more. Then there's a 1% brand fund fee, which they can bump up to 2%, and you might have to join a local marketing co-op that'll cost you another 2%. And that's not all. The FDD lists a whole bunch of other potential fees for things like extra training, late payments, or even a big transfer fee if you ever decide to sell.
You know, when you buy a franchise, you're buying a system, a playbook for how to run the business. So let's take a look at that balance between the support Stella's gives you and the operational control you, as the owner, have to give up in return.
So what's in your corner? Stella's provides some key support to get you off the ground. They'll help you with site selection, which, by the way, they have to approve. They also give you a 5-day initial training program out in Nampa, Idaho, for you and 2 other people. And to help you launch, a corporate rep will be there on site for up to 5 days when you first open. You will need a full-time general manager. And just know you might have to attend annual conventions or other training, all at your own expense.
Now, for the other side of that coin, the obligations. You have to buy from their designated suppliers, and the FDD estimates this will be 50 to 80% of your operating costs. The franchisor also gets a piece of those required purchases, and this next part is critical. The franchisor owns all of your customer data. They also have independent 24/7 remote access to your point of sale system, giving them total visibility into every single sale you make. You'll also have to use their required tech stack like Square, QuickBooks, and Connecting. Okay, this brings us to what is, I think we can all agree, the most important section for any potential investor. This is item 19 of the FDD, the financial performance representation. The big question, how are the existing Stella's locations actually doing? And wow, the data from 2024 shows a really stark contrast. The 5 affiliate-owned stores, you can think of these as the corporate locations, they averaged over $580,000 in gross income with a great 69% gross margin. That led to estimated earnings of about $96,000.
But then you look at the two franchisee-owned stores. They averaged a much, much lower gross income of about $284,000 with average estimated earnings of just over $6,000. And if you dig into that franchisee data just a little bit more, it reveals an even more crucial detail. The FDD actually notes that of those two franchise locations, one of them experienced negative earnings in 2024. That means after paying all the costs and all the fees, that business actually lost money. And of course, anytime we talk about financial performance, we have to include this mandatory legal disclaimer, straight from the FDD itself. Some outlets have earned this much. Your individual results may differ. There is no assurance that you'll earn as much. This is a standard warning, but a really important one to remember. The franchisor's own financial health is also something to consider. Their audited statements show that the company went from a small profit in 2022 to growing net losses, hitting over $21,000 in the red in 2024. This led to a negative members' equity of almost $63,000 by the end of the year, which can definitely be a red flag when you're considering a long-term partner. Look, every investment carries risk, and a franchise is no different. The FDD outlines several key risks and legal commitments that you really need to be aware of before you even think about signing on that dotted line. Okay, a huge risk to understand is that you do not get an exclusive, protected territory. The franchisor specifically reserves the right to sell Stella's products through what they call alternative distribution channels. So what does that mean? It means they could operate their own food truck, sell pints of their ice cream in a grocery store, or even take online orders right in your backyard, becoming your direct competition. Next up, if you look deep in the franchise agreement, you'll find something called the spousal guarantee. Basically, if you're married, your spouse will most likely be required to sign this document. It makes them personally liable for all of your financial obligations and the non-compete agreements under the contract. They're on the hook too. And what happens if you leave the system for any reason? Well, you're bound by a pretty restrictive non-compete clause. For a full 2 years after you leave, you're prohibited from being involved in any competing business within a 25-mile radius of your old shop or any other Stellas in the entire system. And this is so vital to understand how those fees are calculated. That 6% royalty is based on your top-line gross revenue, not your profit. This means you have to pay it every single month, even if your business isn't profitable. The agreement also gives the franchisor the power to change the system whenever they want, which could force you to make additional investments. And you also waive your right to certain damages if a legal dispute comes up. So we've looked at the dream, we've looked at the numbers, the operations, and the risks. The final piece of this whole puzzle is you. Let's take a look at the kind of owner that Stella's is actually looking for. So who is their ideal owner? Well, financially, Stella's requires a minimum net worth of $500,000, with at least $250,000 of that in liquid capital. But beyond the money, they're looking for dedicated, organized leaders who are outgoing, have a real passion for dessert, and are focused on building strong connections within their local community.
So, after weighing the creative freedom against some pretty stark financial data and some significant legal risks, the final question is really yours to answer. Does the scoop justify the squeeze? The only way to find out for sure is to do your own homework. Request the full franchise disclosure document, talk to the franchisor, talk to other franchisees, and I can't stress this enough, review everything with your lawyer and your financial advisors. Thanks for watching.